Mama Hoge landed a dirty slap on Rachel, her daughter-in-law's face. The sound echoed through the mansion like a gunshot. Rachel staggered back, shock frozen on her face, her hand trembling as it rose to her cheek. No one screamed, no one moved, and standing there watching it all was Ekene, her son, Rahel's husband, silent. In every land, there is a story about love that holds too tight. And in every generation, there is a child who mistakes control for care. This is the story of Ekene. Ekene lost his father before his voice had fully learned how to call daddy. On the day the earth swallowed his father's body, the small boy clung to his mother's wrapper so tightly that her cloth almost tore. From that day onward, Mama Hoge did not just become his mother, she became his world. Mama Hoge was a strong woman, the kind that grief did not bend, the kind that pain sharpened. She told herself, if I do not hold this boy tightly, the world will steal him from me, and so she held him tightly. As Ekene grew, Mama Hoge's shadow grew with him. When other boys played football in the streets, Mama Hoge called Ekene inside. Dust, she said, was not good for his lungs. When Ekene wanted to study art in secondary school, Mama Hoge said, no. Artists suffer, she said. She succeeded in persuading him to choose science. When Ekene admired clothing shop windows, Mama Hoge picked what he would wear. Dark colors, respectable colors, colors that did not invite questions. Ekene learned early that the only approval that mattered most was his mother's approval. And so, with his mother's active presence in his life, he excelled. He climbed school ladders, climbed corporate ladders, climbed into wealth so high that people began to bow before him. He owned mansions, a fleet of cars that he changed every year. Domestic staff who were available at his beck and call. From the outside, Ekene had everything, but inside his house, something was always missing. By age 35, Ekene had been married 3 times, and all those 3 times the women had packed their bags and walked away from the oppression, away from the disrespect, away from the torture, away from a husband who didn't have a mind of his own, away from the prowling eyes of Mama Hoge. The first wife was too quiet. Quiet women hide secrets, she said in disgust and certainty. The second wife laughed too loudly. Why does she put on too much makeup? She doesn't even know how to cook. She is extremely lazy too. Such women bring disgrace, and Mama Hoge took pride in her victories, in watching women slowly shrink under her gaze. If the women complained, Mama Hoge smiled. If they left, Mama Hoge triumphed. After all, no woman must come before her mother. Then Rachel came, and for the first time, Mama Hoge felt something stir inside her chest. Fear. Rachel entered the king's life by accident, or perhaps destiny. At the airport, surrounded by announcements and hurried footsteps, she asked him for directions. Their conversation flowed like they had spoken in another lifetime. They laughed like people who had known each other before memory. And when the plane took off, something in Ekene lifted with it. Rachel was different. It was like a love at first sight. She listened, but she also spoke. She loved Ekene, but she loved herself too. When Ekene spoke of his mother, Rachel smiled respectfully, but her eyes always paused. She sensed something unspoken. They dated briefly, and Ekene proposed to her. Their joy knew no bounds. When they started their wedding preparations, Mama Hoge was the master planner of the occasion. She insisted she knew what suit would fit her son better, what dress she wanted her son's wife to wear on her son's wedding day, color of shoes. It was as if she was planning her own dream wedding, and the son. It was nothing new to him, because that has been his everyday life. His mother making all the decisions for him, and even though Rachel was strongly against his mother's wishes, she let her have her way just for peace to reign, and with that they married successfully. When Rachel entered her matrimonial home, she wore confidence like perfume. Mama Hoge smelled it immediately. From the first day, boundaries were drawn like invisible lines on the floor. This is how things are done here. This is how my son likes his food. This is how a good wife behaves, Mama Hoge warned sternly, trying to let her understand that she is the woman of the house and that she runs the affairs of the household. Rachel tried. God knows she tried. Mama Hoge corrected her in front of staff, questioned her cooking without tasting, rearranged her belongings while she slept, and Ekene watched, silent, mute, torn between the woman who gave him life and the woman who gave his life meaning. Each night, Rachel waited for Heken to speak. Each night, silence answered her instead. The house began to change. Laughter disappeared. Food lost its taste. And Mama Hoge, she started her tactics again. When will you start giving my son children? Are you barren? What is taking you so long? She would blurt the words out. These words landed on Rachel's heart like a sharp knife. Rachel prayed. She prayed for peace. She prayed for sanity because at a point, she couldn't stand her wicked mother-in-law any longer. She told herself she was protecting her son, but deep inside, she was protecting her throne. One morning, Mama Hoge started with her stunts again. She started using abusive and derogatory remarks on Rachel. Rachel couldn't stand it anymore and an argument broke down. Mama Hoge landed 3 heavy slaps on Rachel's face and Rachel stopped in her tracks. It was as if she was dreaming, but in the moment she thought to herself, "She's an old woman, somebody old enough to be my mother, so I will not hit her back." Instead, she packed her bags, everything she brought into her matrimonial home and left without a word. She did not shout, she did not curse. She only left Hekene a note saying, "I cannot be married to a man whose voice belongs to another woman." Hekene reached for her, but he had been blocked. After Rachel left, the house returned to order. Mama Hoge smiled more. She sang while supervising the kitchen. She slept peacefully. Hekene did not. At night, Hekene walked through his mansion like a stranger. Rooms echoed, beds felt cold, and for the first time in his life, he began to ask himself a dangerous question. At what point does love become a cage? But Mama Hoge still called. "Have you eaten? Change that shirt. Sit properly." And Ekene still answered. Sometimes the enemy sleeps in the room beside yours. This is where Ekene's journey truly begins. But that is a story for another time.